not ideal. Nathan, what have you got for me?
Okay, well, as I'd mentioned a couple of times when you were talking there, this business that I'm going to speak about has a few little crosses with two things that you talked about.
Yep.
And so they're not directly related, but I'm going to talk about Square.
Yes.
So Square was founded in 2009, and their headquarters is in San Fran, in California. And if you were to try and sum up what they're doing, it would be... Last time I spoke about on the podcast SoFi, and there are you'd see similarities between the two. So basically, they're attempting to consolidate all the financial requirements of a business and personal requirements of an individual into one location, being their ecosystem, which is the Square ecosystem. And so a little bit more background on them before I dive into it. Just because it's fun, do you want to guess how many employees they have?
I'm going to say it is 15,000.
No, 5,500.
5,500. Okay, not bad.
So of the 5,500, how many of those were added in 2020? Have a guess.
Ooh, okay. I'm going to go with 1,000.
1,700.
Wow, okay, yeah.
Added in 2020, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's cool.
You know, whilst everyone else is laying people off, Square's employing 1,700 people, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So the average management tenure at Square is 4.6 years. And so that's something I often look at when I'm investing in a company.
Yep.
Are these managements sticking around and what's it look like? And so the CEO, as most people know, he's a bit of a figure, is Jack Dorsey.
Yep.
He's 43 and he's also the co-founder. And obviously, if you follow the space at all, he's also the CEO and founder of Twitter. And
it's always cool to see a double CEO. It's very Elon Musk. It's like him and Jack are like the only real ones that I know of.
Extremely high capacity people.
It's insane because how do you even spend all your time on one company?
Correct. It opens him up to a lot of flack as well. I think there's a lot of pressure to do a good job.
That's true. Yeah.
The first thing people are going to say is you're dividing your time between the two. You need to focus on one. You know, you watch Shark Tank or whatever. Yeah. The first thing they say if someone's got multiple businesses is, I don't want to invest in this business if you're going to be thinking about that and that.
Or when they even have a job and it's hey, how do I know you're not going to focus on your part-time job?
You can only expect in a scaled-up version of that, dealing with large institutional investors, the same thing's going to happen. Like, if the CEO that we've appointed here to manage the business is also looking after this business, you know, what's the guarantee that he's spending enough time on it? So at the moment, he seems to be doing all right. I mean, there's this general, thing around Twitter where they have never really changed much, and it kind of they made Twitter and then left it.
It's slow innovation,
yeah. And so that's fine by me because I don't really care that much about Twitter. So maybe he's spending his time on Square, and that's probably rightly so. Anyway, I've diverged a bit. The co-founder, and he's also a director, is James McKelvey, and he's a computer scientist, economist. So backstory, really quickly, is McKelvey owned a glassblowing studio. And he was dealing, it was just around the age of credit cards, debit cards, all this kind of thing, and he was trying to deal with making the transition of accepting those into his studio that he was running. Heaps of fees, dealing with banks and having to try and make that work. Is it worthwhile missing a few customers just because you just offer cash payment? Excuse me. So anyway, he made contact with Dorsey, who was a friend, and the two of them basically solved the issue for his particular situation and thus created Square. And so the first thing they did was they built that little Square reader, which is kind of where the name came from. Yeah. So back in the day, the first one you would have seen it plugged into the headphone jack on iPhones. Yeah. And so their theory was basically in an iPhone, we've got 90% of what we need. We've got the ability to touchscreen sign stuff. We've got access to the internet. All of this thing, we got computing power and stuff like that. If we can just add the hardware needed to interface with credit cards, debit cards, then we've basically solved it. So they did that, and their first business model was to send those out for free. So you could apply for a Square reader, and you'd get one in the mail for free. So as I said, they were founded in 2009, and so in 2011, it's a couple of years later, when they were at some sort of scale, they'd shipped 50,000 readers out, and they'd done over 60 million payments had been processed just in 2011. So that's good. And so their business structure was that they would take 2.75% of any payment, and initially it was plus 15 cents, which I suppose
it's a little fixed rate thing.
Exactly.
Just if you're selling like a 2-cent bolt or something.
Exactly. Exactly right. Like it's not even covering whatever expenses are incurred through that transaction. And so they actually quite quickly got rid of that and just went to the 2.75% model, which is I think what they have now. And so that's basically a summary of the business. In regards to the customer experience or what they offer, there's two sides of it, as I initially mentioned. There's like business to business. So what are they providing as value to businesses, and then what are they doing for consumers? So for businesses, there's hardware and software. So the first one is the Square Reader, which I mentioned. And then there's 3 more tiers, which kind of go up. So there's a Square Stand, which is you'll have seen in small cafes. So they can slot in an iPad. Again, it's using existing technology. And that Square Stand has like a little Square Reader on it, and you can spin it around, and it all looks pretty sleek, and it's white, and it looks nice. And then going up from there, you can get a Square Register, which uses Square's hardware tablet. Excuse me, that they've developed.
The great part about it is it all looks like something that's made by Apple.
Yes.
So
even their website.
Yeah.
So I went on their website when researching, and their website even looks the same. If you've been on and looked at Macs, when you go to the purchasing page, you can kind of click along to see all the different versions and models that they have, and it's mirrored exactly the same way on Square website. So they've got the stand, the register, which is their own hardware, and then the fourth option, it's not necessarily top tier, is the Square Terminal, which is like the FBOS machine that you see getting around.
Yeah.
A little white one as well. They've adopted the whole Apple white kind of clean look.
Definitely, yeah.
So then they offer so much software that I can't even mention. So they do Square Appointments, Square for Retail, Square for Restaurants, Square Invoices, Square Virtual Terminals, Square Team Management, Square Contracts, Square Loyalty, Marketing, Gift Cards. And so basically the idea is they want to offer every single service required by a business under their brand name Square. So they develop, for example, like a contracts template, or they develop an invoice template, or whatever it is, and so you can pay for those services when you sign up with Square. And they have different tiers that you can sign up for. And so the last one is they have Square Dashboard, which gives you a really, really concise but yet detailed overview of where the business is at, which is really good for the average cafe owner who's not like financially literate, but they're a great coffee maker. They can see really simply, how much did I make today? How much did it cost me? And then what's the profit look like? Stuff like that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's got really good analytics. Yeah.
Exactly, really good analytics. And so that then leads to Square Capital, which is their lending service.
Yes,
right?
This is brilliant.
It's really, really smart.
Yeah.
And so they say, if you listen to their spokespeople, they say that their main competitor in this space is not banks, but it's friends and family, because
they're like the angel investors.
They're like an angel investor,
yeah.
because they can be lending out anything from 5,000 up to 50,000, and it's fairly instantaneous because they're not doing a credit check, they're not doing anything like that. They're simply looking at the information that they've basically given to the owner, and saying, yeah, we can see that you do have enough profit to be able to handle this payment or whatever that we're going to provide for you. And so...
so you're saying that Square have their own way of tracking how creditworthy someone is,
yeah.
and then they don't have to go through a different bank, or they don't have to go through some other thing, because they already know how well your business is doing.
Exactly.
They can see it all through your point of sale system.
Exactly. And then a defining feature to make the business owner want to use that service is that one of the stipulations is the loan is paid back based on their daily average card swipes. And so if the daily average is increasing, then the payments increase along with it. But if they, for some reason, get sick or ill or something, and they are having less card swipes, they actually don't have to pay back as much. So it's pretty awesome, pretty special in that way. So that's the business side of it. It's really strong. It's really awesome. Recently has really started to grow. Excuse me, is their direct-to-consumer side. So there's a few facets to this. First one is Cash App, which you would have heard about recently. Yep. It's really in the market at the moment because they own a lot of Bitcoin. It's
an American service, though, isn't it? It's only American.
Yes, that is definitely correct.
Yeah.
So they launched that in 2013. So you can spend, you can send money. So it's a networking effect as well. We've both got the app. We can send it to each other instantaneously.
Yep.
You can store your money there. And
it's
then
a huge competitor of Venmo, which is because people say Venmo me.
Yes.
But now I've noticed they sort of say and this is very American. This is only from watching people on YouTube. But then they're kind of like, oh, Cash App me.
Yes.
So it's clever how both of them have somehow got their own verb. For the same thing. You know.
No, exactly right. So we'll see who wins there. And so you can also trade cryptocurrency on that platform as well, which is pretty cool. And that's one of the things that's really grown their cash at the moment, because they own all this cryptocurrency and it's just sort of gone up, which is kind of cool. Looks good on the balance sheet. Another thing they have is their website design stuff. So they have a thing called Weebly, which allows you to host websites and register domains. Then they have Square Up, which is their website design. So they've got Weebly, which allows you to do website hosting. You can register domain names. And then Square Up, which allows you to design websites. So it's their API, which allows you to do basically coding work, but on their user-friendly interface. So
what's an API?
I can't remember.
Okay. All right. So, but that's their interface for.
That's my explanation of it. It's basically, it allows you to do what you would originally need to do something more like coding work.
Yeah.
But they have created the interface, the user interface, that allows you to do that work, but using like their user-friendly platform.
Yeah, that's cool.
So you can create your own website and stuff like that, and it's just design friendly. And then the final thing that is related to direct to consumer is Caviar. Now, this is where it becomes a little bit interesting to what you were talking about. So Caviar is a food delivery service that they originally set up.
Oh, no, wait. So Square has their own food delivery?
Well, kind of.
Oh, sorry. I won't interrupt.
But the interesting thing is they sold that to DoorDash in August 2019 for 410 mil. Right? But
Good move.
August 2019. So then think coronavirus started in, let's say, January, February of 2020.
I don't think it became serious until March.
Okay, so March.
Yeah.
So then June 2020, Dorsey announced a partnership with Postmates to, again, provide a delivery service for the Square businesses. Because obviously they've got all these businesses that can now no longer trade because everyone's at home. And so they'd sold their ability to do that in-house.
Yeah.
I don't know if they regretted it or not. Maybe the 410 mil was a good investment. But they ended up partnering with Postmates, and you can still go to the website now, and they still have a partnership with Postmates, who will provide delivery service for their businesses. Which has obviously been purchased in December 2020 by Uber.
Yeah, right. That's what I was talking about.
That's what you said. So it's very interesting. It's all intertwined, you know?
Yeah.
And then a little bit about performance, and then I'm finished. So in Q4 2020, their gross profit was 800 mil, which is up 50% year on year. Seller ecosystem, so that's all the stuff I talked about at the start. That was only up 13% year on year. And the Cash App, which is, I mentioned, obviously, is up 160%.
Yeah, brilliant.
For the year, which is gross profit. I assume maybe something to do with trading cryptocurrencies had some sort of an impact on that.
And you can take, the beautiful thing about crypto is you can take a higher spread on crypto. Mm-hmm. You know, you trade currency and you get a 2 pip spread, which is basically 0.02%. Uh-huh. You trade stocks and you can get a 10 pip spread, you know, 0.1%, something like that. But you trade cryptocurrency and you can take a 2%, 3%, 4% spread.
That's crazy.
On people's crypto, because everyone just wants it.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't matter.
No.
And every single time someone's trading, you know, say you're taking 2% off them, you're making a lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point. So obviously that's contributed. And they've got more than 36 million monthly active customers on Cash App in December. So that was cool. So they IPO'd in November 2015 on the New York Stock Exchange for $9. Which is pretty cheap.
Yep.
Current price?
Wait, so what year was that?
2015. Guess the current price.
Wait, 2015. Square IPO'd it in 2015?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was older than that. Like, I thought the IPO was before that. But current price, I'm going to guess, is $256.
$216. It probably was about that, but
Okay,
it's $216.
Yeah, we've made some losses this week. We'll admit that. We've made some strong growth stock losses.
I could buy a car with how much I've lost.
A very nice car. A very nice car that you used to own.
And so the market cap's about $100 billion. They don't pay dividend because they're a growth stock. And Jack Dorsey has an 11% stake, which is about $10 billion.
That's pretty good. He's like 11% is a decent.
He's the largest stakeholder. Vanguard is second to that with 5%. ARKF has 5% of that portfolio. Sorry, no, 10% of that portfolio is Square, which is the largest. ARKK is 6% under Tesla, which is 10%.
Yep.
ARKW is 5% under Tesla again, which is 10%. And general individual insider ownership is 14.6%. And so...
You should mention Cathie Wood for the SEO.
Cathie Wood.
Not that SEO works for words.
Cathie Wood.
Now we can write it in the description.
Cathie Wood is obviously bullish on this.
Yep.
And so my overall quick sum up is I like Square. I think they're awesome. I've owned them for a while, and I will continue to own them because I think they're going to make a big difference, and they have made a big difference in both the business world and the personal finance world, and there's much more to come, and I'm pretty excited.
Good stuff.
Awesome.